Welcome to the Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart podcast. Each week, we interview the best and brightest in physical therapy, wellness, and entrepreneurship. We give you cutting-edge information you need to live your best life, healthy, wealthy, and smart. The information in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be used as personalized medical advice. And now, here's your host, Dr. Karen Litzy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Karen Litzy, and today's episode is brought to you by Net Health. And Net Health really wants to help you maintain strong relationships with your patients. So they have created the Redoc Patient Portal. It provides a secure line of communication between you and your patients where you can conduct video conferencing for telehealth, secure messaging, share documents and photos, and view health information and appointments. And during these times where we're still all socially distancing, this is a huge value add for your practice and for your patients. Your patients will have 24/7 secure, on-demand access to their health information without phone calls and voice messages. If you want to learn more, contact them at Redoc, that's REDOC, at nethealth.com. Now, before we get to today's episode, I have one more piece of information to share, and that is that I am getting ready to launch a brand new online program to help physical therapists create their own practice that fits perfectly into their life. So if you are looking to start a cash-based, a concierge practice, whether it's your full-time gig or a side hustle, I am so excited. The program is going to launch in just a couple of weeks. So if you're interested, get on the wait list now so that you'll be the first to get information on the program because space will be limited since this is the first time I'm doing it. All you have to do is go to karenlitzy.com/waitlist. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to share it with you all. Again, that's karenlitzy.com/waitlist. Okay, on to today's episode. We have the wonderful Dr. Stephanie Weyrauch on, and I love Stephanie. She's a great friend of mine. She's being interviewed by Jenna Kantor, who is back on the podcast, and they are talking about advocacy mentorship. So in this episode, they discuss why you need an advocacy mentor to help guide you through healthcare policy, the benefits of being a mentor, and the key to having successful advocacy efforts. And for more info on Stephanie, if you don't already know her, she is an active member of the National Physical Therapy Community. Stephanie has served on multiple national task forces for the American Physical Therapy Association and actively lobbies for healthcare policy issues at the local, state, and national levels of government. She is a nationally sought-after speaker and consultant for topics on social media use, generational issues, and organizational membership. Stephanie serves as the Vice President for the Connecticut Physical Therapy Association. She is also the co-host for the Healthcare Education Transformation podcast, which focuses on innovations in healthcare education and delivery. She's a passionate Chicago Cubs fan, I guess we'll give her a pass for that, who enjoys playing the saxophone, writing, and weightlifting in her spare time. During business and leisure travel, she is always up for exploring local foodie and coffee destinations. So a huge thanks to both Stephanie and Jenna, two of my most favorite people on the same podcast. So everyone, enjoy today's podcast.
Hello. This is Jenna Kantor. I'm here with Stephanie Weyrauch with the podcast Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart. You guys probably know her already. I mean, she's not any stranger to this podcast. Dude, how many podcasts have you done on this specific one?
I think this will be my fourth.
Oh, fourth. I wish I could say third time is a charm. Fourth time is a doozy. I don't know, I'm making it up as we go. But I wanted to bring on the good old Stephanie, the Mrs. Weyrauch, however you want to refer to her, or you could be like, hello, master, oh master, whatever you prefer. I wanted to bring on Stephanie today because she's actually my advocacy mentor. And I wanted to bring her on to talk about this because I don't think people realize this can be a thing. And so I'm like, yo, Steph, you want to come on? She's all, yo, yeah, let's do it. So this is where we are. And I wanted to open this up, especially to any student physical therapists or new grads who are looking to get more involved with the APTA and just don't have that guidance from someone that they trust and who believes in them. So Stephanie, why do you think I wanted to work with you?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with the Women in PT Summit. I mean, I know that I remember the first time that we met, Jenna, we were at the Women in PT Summit. I had seen a lot of your videos on social media, and you and I were friends on social media. And so I remember I came up to you and I said, "Oh, you're Jenna Kantor," and you said, "Oh my God, you've seen my stuff? That's so cool!" And we started talking, and I think you, based off of your interest in advocacy and based off of, I think, you knowing that I was involved in advocacy, we just started talking about it. And I think that that's just how it developed. It was a really organic thing. It wasn't anything that was really formal. It was just like, hey, we have this common interest. We know we both enjoy, we both are passionate about the profession. And I think that's kind of what led to it.
Yeah, it was funny. You say it's not formal, but to me, I remember when I asked you, I felt like I was asking you to be my girlfriend. I was like, Stephanie, will you be my advocacy mentor? Like, I was so weird about it. But it felt like a big deal. I think this is important to bring up as somebody who really wants to continue my involvement with the APTA and making changes that I foresee that would be so great for its growth. I really wanted to bring this up because it's not necessarily easy to find the right person. I think of it as dating at the end of the day. There's a lot of people who give you tidbits, but for somebody like you, where I can say, hey, I need to talk on the phone, and you'll be available to talk for like an hour if needs be, or me to like brainstorm on whatever, or even if I'm just going through a hard time, need to get through a rocky space. A lot of times it's just been brainstorming. But that's extremely valuable. A lot of physical therapists who are involved, they don't necessarily have the time, or they don't necessarily believe in me on that level where I feel comfortable to be open.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you make a really good point about finding the right person, because while people say that you can go up to anybody and say, hey, will you mentor me? I mean, you really have to build that relationship, which is what advocacy is all about, right? Having a really good advocate is all about building relationships. And so finding that person that you can be yourself around, yet that person is going to be honest enough with you to tell you, the things that you either need to improve on, give you that critical feedback, but also give you that positive feedback to reinforce that you're doing good things, and finding that balance.
Yeah.
So I think that you make a good point, just about making sure that you're finding the right person. And my advice to people is, if you are interested in finding an advocacy mentor, or just a mentor in general, trying to foster that connection and that relationship with that person is extremely important.
Yeah, and I remember it was a process for me, because there's an endless stream of people where I was thinking, wow, they know what they're doing, they have what I want and everything, but I didn't feel 100% comfortable around them. And I think that is something we forget. You just think of the person being, oh, they're amazing, but how do they make you feel about yourself?
And I think that that's an important thing for mentors to remember too, is that, you're not creating a mini me. You're helping a person who is their own individual person and has attributes that they can bring to the table to make them a strong advocate, or, whatever the mentorship relationship is about. And you're just helping them along. I always think that, being a mentor is even cooler than accomplishing something yourself, because the mentee accomplishes something in that realm, and you've helped foster that accomplishment by, facilitating their growth and making sure that they're connected with the right people. I mean, that's just as rewarding, and if not even more rewarding, all the extra people that you get to touch, in addition to, your own personal development as an advocate and your own personal development as a leader. So I think that, it's something that not only helps you as the individual mentee, but you as the mentor, it allows you to have a larger reach than what you could have if you were just in your little bubble doing your own advocacy thing.
Yeah, that's true. It's really, really true. And it's not easy, because, like you mentioned earlier, there are people who many who say, oh yeah, just go to anyone. A lot of people don't have the time. So you have to make a decision for yourself when looking for a mentor. Are you good with getting snippets of people and having a long list of people where you keep calling until you reach someone? Or do you want someone that's going to be more reliable for you, devoted to investing time in you in order to give you that advice and guidance? There's no wrong answer to that. I discovered that I needed only one, Obi-Wan. And so Stephanie became my Obi-Wan. Or what would be a Harry Potter reference for this?
Oh, I mean, Albus Dumbledore, of course.
Oh, there we go. Good. Not Voldemort, right? Voldemort is not.
Oh, definitely not. No way. Don't compare me to Voldemort. That's horrible. I think she just compared me to Voldemort. I think that's another thing about mentorship that can be challenging is the time commitment. And you're right. You can have multiple mentors that you don't really need to spend a lot of time with. But again, if that mentor is really into facilitating your growth, it's going to be okay that they're going to invest time in you. Now, it may not be like a 1 hour weekly phone call, but when you see them, like they're going to want to spend 2 hours with you just to catch up and see how you're doing, or they'll text you or email you back and forth. And those are the relationships that are built on exactly what I said, relationships. It's not just built on a formal face-to-face meeting of somebody that you barely know. This is something that you've cultivated, you've watered, and now the seeds are growing and the beautiful tree is starting to really fester to help kind of bring about that good relationship that's needed to have that effective mentor help you and you help them.
Yeah, I'm realizing we're making an assumption here. So let's answer the question. Why is it good? Why is it beneficial to have an advocacy mentor?
On that note, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor and be right back with Stephanie's answer.
This episode is brought to you by Net Health, helping you maintain strong relationships with your patients. The ReDoc patient portal provides a secure line of communication between you and your patients. Conduct virtual visits and have follow-up conversations with your patients via secure messaging when it's convenient for you. Patients have 24/7 secure, on-demand access to their therapy health information without phone calls and voice messages. Video conferencing for telehealth, secure messaging, share documents and photos, and view health information and appointments. To learn more, contact them at redoc@nethealth.com.
I think that the benefit for it is because it helps you, it prevents you from making mistakes that most people make. And I think one of the best things about having a mentor is it helps you grow and become better faster than maybe somebody who had to figure out their own way. Granted, there's been multiple people along in the history of time who have been able to figure out their own way, but potentially they could have burned some bridges along the way. They could have had some setbacks. They may have missed an opportunity. And if there's one thing we know about advocacy, it's all about opportunity, and it's all about presenting your argument in the right way at the right time for the right things that are going on in current events. So understanding that, especially in today's very polarized political environment, making sure that you are approaching these issues in a way that is proper and in a way that's going to be effective, because ultimately when you're advocating for your patients. You might be advocating a little bit for your profession, but in general, when you advocate, you want to make sure that people are getting great care. And right now, healthcare policy is very polarizing. There's lots of different opinions about it, and if you are with the right person and they're guiding you the right way, you're going to go about it in a way that's not going to be as potentially detrimental to the message that you want to send.
Yeah, and you're hitting on something great. Just like anything, any relationship, you can cause sour, bad relationships. And I'm going to sum it up with the word, you could get blacklisted, man. You can. It's not like there's a formal list. Ain't nobody got time for that. But if you're a person who's constantly coming out like a douche, they're not going to want to know you, just like anyone. If somebody's coming across and not nice to you, not kind, they make you feel like crap, that's a thing. So to get, and it's, even if you think you are doing something in a good intention manner, you never really realize if you might be cutting down on someone who's put in a lot of hard work for zero reimbursement for the profession. And that has to be considered, even if you completely disagree with it.
Right. Well, and advocacy takes a long time too. I mean, it's not something that you can go to one meeting and all of a sudden now you have a law passed. I mean, it can take up to 20 years, as we saw with the Medicare therapy cap, to have something actually happen. And that's like a long history that's a history in itself, 20 years. I mean, I'm only 30 years old. That means that when I was 10, stuff was going on that I wouldn't even know about. And if I don't have that historical knowledge and that historical information, how can I be an effective advocate? So by having a mentor who knows that history and can help guide you along some of those talking points that you potentially have, because either you don't know the history, you're too young to know the history, or you just aren't as familiar with the talking points themselves, you have that person there that can give you that. And then when you go to advocate, you have that much more credibility. And if there's anything that is really important in advocacy, it's first off, it's credibility. And second off, it's relationships. What type of relationship have you built with that person? Because if you're a credible person and you have a good relationship with them, the chances of them actually listening to you when that ask comes is a lot better than if you're just a random person that has no credibility.
Right. Which does naturally glide into things that I personally want to change, just for voices, lesser known voices, to be heard. But that's my own little personal agenda. Let them all be heard. Do you hear the nation singing the song of agreement? What is that from? I think it's from Les Mis. Important part of this podcast, naturally.
Les Mis, very important part.
Very, very important part of advocacy. Advocate for Les Mis. So after answering why, do you have to have a mentor? Is it a must in order to achieve what you want within the physical therapy profession, advocacy-wise?
I mean, I would say yes, because I don't know how many of our listeners are experts in healthcare policy, but my guess is that there's not a ton that are experts in healthcare policy that are listening to this podcast. And if you are an expert in healthcare policy, my guess is that you've had a lot of mentorship along the way. I know for me, I mean, healthcare policy changes daily. And for me, how I have learned about healthcare policy has been from being mentored by people who I would consider are healthcare policy experts. In addition to them giving me resources that I can use so that I myself can become a healthcare policy expert. Not to mention, it's really difficult to keep emotion out of politics. And that is half of what advocacy is trying to present a logical argument that isn't based off of your emotion, but is based off of somebody else's emotion that's going to further the policy agenda that you're trying to advocate for. And I think one of the hardest parts about advocacy is taking personal emotion out of the picture. Because
oh yeah, I struggle with that big time.
Again, you're there to advocate for your patients. You're not there to advocate for yourself. In the end, it doesn't really matter what you believe. It matters what is needed for your patients. And so having just a mentor there to guide you through some of that emotional roller coaster of integrating politics and emotion, individual politics with societal politics, I think is an essential part of being an effective healthcare advocate. Additionally, there's so much information that having somebody there to help you kind of focus that information and help you figure out what you need to learn and what you need to focus on is also really important. So I would say yes, having a mentor is extremely important.
Yeah, I love that. Well, on that note, person who has been on this podcast now 4 times. This is 4 times. No, this is 5. Is this 5? This is 4 time. Oh my gosh. How can people find you in case they haven't listened to the other 3 podcasts that you've been on?
So you can find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is thesteph21. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and under Stephanie Weyrauch, so you can find me there. Or if you want to email me, you can email me at SWEYRAUHPT, so SWeyrauchPT@gmail.com. But I would say the best way to reach out to me is probably Twitter.
Tweet. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming on. It's a joy to share your expertise, to share you with others, even though I want to claim you all for myself.
Well, thank you, Jenna, for the wonderful opportunity to come on Healthy, Wealthy, and Smart once again. And, of course, it's always great to chat with you and talk about something that I really love, advocacy.
Heck yeah, me too. Ayo.
A big thank you to Jenna and to Stephanie for a great talk on why you need an advocacy mentor to help you through what can be some murky waters when it comes to advocacy. So thank you both for a great conversation. And of course, thanks to Net Health. So Net Health has created the Redoc Patient Portal, which provides a secure line of communication between you and your patients, conduct virtual visits, and have follow-up conversations with your patients via secure messaging when it's convenient for you. Patients have 24/7 secure online on-demand access to their therapy health information without phone calls and voice messages. If you want to learn more, contact them at redoc@nethealth.com.
Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to the podcast at podcast.healthywealthysmart.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media.